Welcome back to LNT, the channel dedicated to simplifying classic literature for non-native English speakers. Are you ready to dive into the world of Jane Eyre and Cinderella? We're going to take a closer look at how Charlotte Bronte's novel, Jane Eyre, and the fairy tale Cinderella are connected. We'll be exploring the elements of the Cinderella tale that Bronte used in her novel and how it helps us understand the novel in a new way. We'll take a look at the characters, the plot, and the themes that are common in both stories and see how Bronte uses them to create a unique narrative. We'll also be discussing the societal expectations of women during the 19th century and how it relates to the novel. So, are you ready to explore beyond the pages? Get comfortable, grab a copy of Jane Eyre, and let's dive in. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more educational videos on classic literature. Many readers have been puzzled by the combination of elements such as romance, Gothic fiction, and social criticism in Bronte's novel Jane Eyre. This creates a complex narrative that has challenged readers to fully understand its conclusion and its representation of women. The novel presents different perspectives on gender and society norms. Some readers find that the novel presents a strong and independent female lead, while others argue that the novel reinforces traditional gender roles. But if we take a closer look, we'll see that the elements of the fairy tale in Jane Eyre allow us to understand the novel in a new way and see how they raise the domestic to the level of the universal. Thanks to those elements, we can see that the novel is not just about a woman's desire for independence, but also about society expectations and the choices that women make. This perspective suggests that the domestic and personal are not less important than the universal, but rather that the domestic and personal can also be elevated to a universal level. What do we mean by the Cinderella tale? Cinderella is a fairy tale about a young girl who is treated poorly by her stepmother and stepsisters, but ultimately meets a prince and lives happily ever after. Bronte used similar elements in Jane Eyre, where the character Jane is also treated poorly by her aunt and cousins, but ultimately meets a wealthy man, Mr. Rochester, and lives happily ever after. But of course, it's not just the basic plot that's similar. There are also other elements such as the use of disguise and the importance of the ball where Cinderella and Jane both meet their prince. One of the recurring questions about Jane Eyre is how to read the novel in terms of women and men. Jane, the main character, declares that women should have the same opportunities as men. But at the end of the novel, Jane decides that her only focus will be Mr. Rochester, and this can be seen as a promotion of traditional gender roles and the idea that a woman's only purpose is to find a husband. Let's now examine 3 elements taken from the fairy tale to show that the novel isn't just about a woman's desire for independence, but also about society expectation and about the choices that women make. First element, the ball. The ball is an important event in Cinderella and also in Jane Eyre, where both protagonists meet their romantic partners. The ball represents a turning point for both characters, where they are able to shed their disguises and assert their own identities. Second element. In Cinderella, the prince represents the chance for Cinderella to escape her oppressive situation and live a better life. In Jane Eyre, Mr. Rochester represents the possibility of true love and a fulfilling life. Third element. In Cinderella, the expectations are for Cinderella to be a meek and submissive servant. In Jane Eyre, the expectations are for her to be a submissive governess. Both characters have to navigate these society expectations in order to achieve their own independence and happiness. This comparison also allows us to see the connection between Jane Eyre and other fairy tales, such as Bluebeard, for example, and how they all explore similar themes. By understanding these connections, we can better understand the novel and the themes that Charlotte Brontë was exploring. So the next time you read Jane Eyre, keep in mind the elements of the Cinderella tale and you'll see the novel in a whole new light. Remember to keep the historical context in mind and not to take the novel at face value. So if you're ready to take your understanding of Jane Eyre and Cinderella to the next level, keep reading, keep exploring, and head over to our website Literature No Trouble for more in-depth analysis and resources. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more educational videos on classic literature. Happy reading!